The hum of the industrial fluorescent lights, a persistent low thrum, is your constant companion now, a dull counterpoint to the city's distant, sleeping breath. You move through the vast expanse of the midnight trading floor with dead screens, a phantom in the phosphorescent glow. Each workstation, an inert monolith of plastic and glass, holds the ghost of frantic energy, now reduced to a silent sentinel. Dust motes dance in the sterile beams, performing a slow ballet only for your eyes. Your hands, once adept at dissecting crime scenes, now wipe down these silent terminals, a ritual of atonement or perhaps just a necessary penance. The air here is thick with the scent of recycled air and the faint, metallic tang of dormant electricity. You are Blake Ryder, and this desolation is your new domain. The city, a sprawling beast of glass and concrete, once knew your name whispered in the hushed corridors of justice, a name synonymous with relentless pursuit. Now it is a forgotten echo, a cautionary tale muttered in the precinct's shadowed corners. Your disgrace clings to you like a second skin, a heavy cloak woven from suspicion and shattered trust. They called you reckless, a maverick who saw shadows where others saw only light, and in the end, those shadows consumed you. You walk alone, a solitary figure in a world you once swore to protect. Your work-issued phone, a cheap plastic rectangle, feels alien in your palm. The caller ID is a number you do not recognize, a string of digits devoid of personal history. You answer, your voice a low rasp in the cavernous space. Wake, Ryder? The voice on the other end is clipped, official, a voice accustomed to delivering unpleasant news with clinical detachment. It belongs to a uniformed officer, you deduce by the subtle shift in cadence, the formal preamble. We've had an incident. Your sister, Elara, a name you haven't spoken aloud in years, a chasm of silence stretched between you, wide and unforgiving. The last argument, a bitter exchange of accusations, still echoes in the chambers of your memory, a raw wound refusing to heal. What kind of incident? You ask, your voice tighter than you intended. Each word a stone dragged from a deep well. We found her, the officer states, the words flat, devoid of inflection, at her apartment. Ruled a suicide, Mr. Ryder. Appears to be an overdose. The words hang in the air, congealing into a grotesque shape. Suicide! The two concepts refuse to merge in your mind, like oil and water, fundamentally incompatible. A laugh, harsh and humorless, scrapes your throat before you can stifle it. Elara was many things. Fiery, impetuous, fiercely independent. But he was not a coward. He had a resilience that shamed your own, a stubborn spark that refused to be extinguished. No, you state, the single word, a quiet detonation in the silent expanse of the trading floor. It is not a question, not a plea, but an unshakable conviction. That's not possible. The officer sighs, a weary sound. The scene indicates otherwise, sir. A note was found. Standard procedure. The medical examiner has already confirmed the preliminary findings. The facile convenience of it chafes. Elara, with her artistic soul and her disdain for convention, would never leave a tidy, predictable note. He would rage. He would fight. He would leave a mess, a testament to her vibrant, complicated life. This neat, packaged explanation feels inherently wrong, a poorly constructed lie draped over a painful truth. Your grip tightens on the phone, your knuckles white against the cheap plastic. The spectral glow of the dead screens around you seems to intensify, reflecting a distorted image of your own disbelief. You see her face in your mind's eye, the defiant tilt of her chin, the flash of challenge in her eyes. The officer gives you the address, a sterile recitation of street numbers and apartment complexes. You jot it down on a stry-cleaning manifest, the pen scratching an angry line across the page. They believe it's suicide. They want you to believe it. But the seeds of doubt, once planted, begin to sprout, their roots digging deep into the fertile ground of your gut instinct. You know, Elara, the city may have forgotten Blake Ryder, but Blake Ryder remembers how to hunt. The game, it seems, has just begun. Incomplete. A calculated deception. The words, precisely inked, offer a finality that claws at your throat. For Elara, your sister, was never one for neat conclusions. Her life, a symphony of vibrant chaos, would have ended with a crescendo, not this quiet, fading hum. You clutch the official report, its sterile paragraphs outlining a tragedy you refuse to accept. A cold certainty begins to bloom within you, displacing the initial shock, hardening into a resolve that feels both familiar and terrifying. The city sleeps, or pretends to. Its pulse, usually a frantic drumbeat, slows to a weary thrum as you navigate its skeletal arteries. Your destination, a ghost in the urban sprawl, draws you in with an invisible, insistent pull. You remember Elara's brief, excited calls about her new project, her foray into the digital art world, a space she found both fascinating and, in her words, utterly soulless without a human touch. She'd spoken of a place where money flowed like an abstract river, a place he was transforming into a canvas for a fleeting, immersive exhibit. The building itself is a monolithic beast of glass and steel, its upper floors dissolving into the inky sky. Security, a gaunt figure barely visible behind a tinted window, waves you through with a detached nod, a courtesy likely extended due to your former badge, or perhaps the weary resignation in your eyes. You are a specter in a place already haunted by absence. Each step echoes in the vast, cavernous space, a lone heartbeat in a tomb of ambition. Rows upon rows of trading desks stretch into the gloom, a silent army of workstations. Their screens, once alive with the frantic dance of numbers and graphs, are now uniformly black, reflecting your own distorted image back at you like obsidian mirrors. They cast no light, offer no comfort, only a stark reminder of what once was and what is irrevocably lost. You move through the labyrinth of empty chairs and coiled cables, your senses attuned, reactivating old circuits in your mind. This isn't just a place, it's a crime scene even if the official narrative denies it. Your gaze sweeps over the details, the dust motes dancing in the slivers of moonlight piercing the high windows, the faint sheen on a desk where a hand might have rested, the almost imperceptible hum of the building's idle systems. Her exhibit was supposed to be in the central atrium, a space designed for grand pronouncements. You find it now, barren save for a single, stark white pedestal, its surface pristine, awaiting a sculpture that will never arrive. But your eyes are drawn elsewhere, to a corner, a space less manicured, where the official report states he was found. A desk slightly askew, a chair tipped on its side. These are the broad strokes, the expected aftermath of a struggle, or a desperate leap. But it's the minutiae that pick your attention, the tiny dissonances in the symphony of despair. The report mentions a broken pen, its cap separated from its barrel. Yet, on the floor, beneath the overturned chair, you discover a small, intricate silver clasp, not belonging to any pen you know. It glints faintly in the ambient light, a silent, eloquent witness. You recall Elara's obsession with a particular antique leather journal, secured by just such a clasp. Where is that journal now? It isn't mentioned in the inventory of her belongings. You trace the path she supposedly took to a window overlooking the city's sleeping sprawl. The glass, according to the report, was found ajar, consistent with her final act. But as you approach, a chill crawls up your spine. The window latch, a heavy brass mechanism, is stiff, requiring considerable force to open. Yet, it sits in the locked position, the small, almost invisible scuff mark on its underside indicating it was forced back into place after being opened. And then, the faint, almost imperceptible smudge on the outer pane, too high to be from an inside hand reaching out. It suggests a struggle, a push, or perhaps a desperate attempt to close it from the outside. A faint, almost metallic smell lingers in the air near the window, a scent you can't quite place, but it doesn't belong to the sterile environment of a trading floor. Then you pull a gloved hand from your pocket, holding the crumpled copy from the report. Its paper is smooth, unblemished, a stark contrast to the slightly rough texture of the antique stationery Elara favored. Her handwriting, usually a wild, expressive scrawl, is here unnervingly neat, almost formal. A subtle tremor runs through you. You knew her hand, every loop, every flourish, every hurried slant. This, while mimicking her style, lacks the idiosyncratic imperfections, the tiny telling habits only you would notice. It is too perfect, an imitation rather than an original. The neatness of the note, the forced latch, the foreign clasp, the phantom scent. Each inconsistency is a discordant note in the official melody. Elara, your sister, did not choose to fall, he was pushed. Your old life, the one you painstakingly dismantled, begins to reassemble itself, piece by agonizing piece around the undeniable reality of murder. The hunt, you realize with a grim clarity, has already begun. Official report, its sterile pronouncements, a cruel mockery, a calculated deception. You clutch the official report, the thin paper crinkling under the force of your grip. Its cold weight a constant reminder of the hollow claim. This silence, this neatness, it is not her. The first thread you pull leads you to the edge of the industrial district where us gnaws a corrugated steel and the smells of old oil and damp earth. A single lamp casts a sickly yellow glow over a loading bay door, its paint peeling like sunburnt skin. You rap your knuckles, a hesitant rhythm against the metal. A slot slides open, revealing a single, unblinking eye. Ryder. A voice rasps, thick with a weariness that predates dawn. I thought you'd vanished into the ether. The door grinds open, revealing the medical examiner, a gaunt figure whose face is a roadmap of late nights and grim discoveries. Their lab, a makeshift affair in the cavernous space of a repurposed warehouse, hums with the low thrum of outdated machinery. Glimpses of stainless steel and covered forms hint at the nature of their work. The air is thick with the metallic tang you've grown to associate with finality. You're not supposed to be here, Blake, not after everything. The medical examiner sighs, gesturing vaguely towards a cluttered workbench. And certainly not for this. The report is clear. Open and shut. You push a photo of Elara into their hand, a vibrant image of her laughing, alive. Look at her. Then tell me open and shut with a straight face. Tell me what isn't in that report. The medical examiner's gaze lingers on the photograph, a flicker of something akin to regret crossing their features. They meticulously wipe down a pair of forceps, the clink of metal against ceramic jarring in the quiet. Her nails, Blake. Alien. Too clean. No trace of struggle. No residue. And her hands, they were soft, unmarred, like she'd been prepared. But the official findings, they say otherwise. No inconsistencies noted. They meet your gaze, their eyes holding a silent warning. You walk a dangerous path. Some things are better left buried. Their words are a cold wind, but they fan a spark into a flame. Buried things have a way of clawing their way out. You murmur, turning to leave. The image of Elara's unnaturally clean hand searing itself into your mind. The city's pulse quickens as you make your way to your next destination. The memory of the medical examiner's reluctant confession a fresh wound. The undercurrent of warning, the unspoken threat, tells you you're on the right track. The air is still heavy with the ghosts of frantic shouts and ringing bells now replaced by an eerie quiet. Their eyes, sharp and darting, betray a constant vigilance. Ryder, they grunt, not looking up. Heard you'd become a hermit. My sister. What do you know? The informant finally looks up, a sneer twisting their lips. Elara, she always had a knack for finding the wrong crowd. Lately, he was sniffing around the financial sector. Big money. Dirty money. The kind that builds empires and buries dissent. They tap a manicured finger on the dead screen before them. He was asking about a particular holding company. Shell corporations. Layers deep. Well, let's just say, some very old, very powerful names. Names that don't like their affairs aired out. Names like, you press your jaw tight. The informant shakes their head, a mirthless chuckle escaping their throat. You always were too eager, Ryder. That's why they clipped your wings. You flew too close to the sun. This isn't just about some back alley deal. This is systemic. The kind of rot that goes all the way to the roots. He was close to exposing something that could bring down more than just a few high rollers. He had a partner. Someone who vanished just as quietly. You leave the spectral trading floor, the informant's words echoing in the vast emptiness. A partner. Unmarred hands. The pieces begin to shift, forming an unsettling pattern. Your final stop is a diner. Its chrome peeling, its red vinyl booths cracked with age. The jaded beat cop, their uniform a rumpled testament to a long shift, nurses a lukewarm coffee, staring out at the rain-slipped street. They don't look up as you slide into the opposite seat. A lake rider, they say, their voice flat, devoid of surprise, still chasing ghosts, even your own. Some ghosts refuse to stay buried. You counter. The words a familiar refrain now. Elara. The official report says suicide. You believe that? The beat cop takes a slow sip of coffee, their gaze fixed on the steam rising from the mug. My job isn't about belief, Ryder. It's about what the paperwork says. And the paperwork for your sister's case was airtight. Too airtight for a woman who lived as loud as she did. They finally look at you, their eyes tired but sharp. Word went around, you know, about your sister and about you. How you went down. How you were trying to expose something big, and how it all blew up in your face. The department cleaned house. You were part of the mess they swept under the rug. So, Elara's case, it was just another sweep. You ask, a bitter taste in your mouth. Nobody asked questions. The beat cop shrugs, a gesture of resignation. No one wanted to. How quickly you fell. It made people careful. Elara's death was just another unfortunate incident in a city full of them. But I did hear one thing. Something about a patrol car being rerouted from a routine call. Just blocks from Elara's place, precisely when her incident was reported. A priority call? Apparently. But no record of what that priority call was. The rain outside intensifies, drumming a relentless rhythm against the diner's window. A rerouted patrol car. The disparate threads begin to knot together, tightening around a sinister core. The coffee, bitter and cold, offers no comfort, only a jolt to the nerves already frayed. You stare at the single, cryptic image projected onto the wall from your sister's old data chip. A digital ghost she left behind. It was not in her apartment, not among her personal effects. The image is simple, a blurred screenshot of a financial ledger, rows of numbers, a few highlighted entries. But what truly catches your eye is the faint, almost imperceptible watermark in the corner, a symbol you vaguely recognize from the periphery of your past life, a stylized, interlocking set of initials. Below it is a single string of alphanumeric characters, seemingly random. It's a key, a breadcrumb leading into the digital labyrinth she navigated. Your fingers dance across the keyboard, the old muscle memory returning, a grim ballet of decryption. The alphanumeric string, a simple substitution cipher, yields a name, Valerius. Tonight, this isn't a suicide note. It's a posthumous cry for help, a coded message from a sister who knew her time was short. He was leaving you a path, a desperate trail to follow. The city sleeps, a veneer of peace stretched thin over its restless heart. You drive, the old sedan, a familiar extension of your resolve, through deserted streets. The only light, the spectral glow of distant street lamps and the occasional flash of a neon sign. A security guard, a hulking figure lost in the vast lobby, eyes you with suspicion as you walk past, a phantom of authority you no longer possess. You move methodically, a hunter in a digital graveyard. Your sister's message, the screenshot, it showed a specific terminal, a corner desk near a panoramic window overlooking the city's slumbering sprawl. You find it, a desolate island in a sea of identical workstations. The chair is askew, a faint indentation in the dust on the desk suggesting recent occupation. You activate the terminal. The screen flickers to life, not with the usual login prompt, but with a single, static image. The same stylized, interlocking initials from the watermark, but now sharper, clearer. Your fingers hover over the keyboard. This is where your sister left her final, digital breadcrumb. She knew you would come. She knew you would understand. You navigate through the terminal's sparse files, bypassing its locked system with a sequence of commands she taught you years ago, a relic from a shared, illicit past. Within a hidden directory, you find it, a single, encrypted file, labeled only with a date from a week before her death. The decryption takes time, a tense dance with the machine. As the final characters resolve, a list appears, not numbers, but names. A ledger of personnel, low-level operatives with access codes and recent activity logs. One name leaps out, underlined and read by your sister's hand. Jasper Thorne. Desolate. Jasper Thorne, a low-level player, a name you don't recognize, but his presence on this list, highlighted by your sister, confirms everything. She wasn't just working, he was investigating. The conspiracy stretches further higher than you first imagined. A sudden, sharp click echoes from the far end of the floor. A floorboard groans. You are not alone. The trap is sprung. The hunt has begun. You stare at the single, cryptic image projected onto the wall. It's a grainy capture, a stolen moment of a man, thin and pale, hunched over a desk. His eyes, wide and perpetually startled, betray a deeper apprehension. They lead you to the heart of the city's financial district, to a monolithic structure of steel and smoked glass that pierces the perpetually overcast sky. It is a place of phantom transactions, of fortunes won and lost in the blink of an algorithm. Your destination, however, is not the gilded lobby. You slip through a service entrance, the heavy metal door groaning its protest as you ease it shut behind you. Your footsteps echo, swallowed by the cavernous space that unfurls before you. The ambient hum of dormant machinery is the only sound, a low thrumming that vibrates through the soles of your shoes. He is there, a solitary silhouette hunched in the far corner, illuminated by the faint glow of a handheld device. He doesn't notice you at first, lost in the blue luminescence, his fingers twitching. A nervous energy radiates from him, a palpable tremor in the quiet air. You approach slowly, your presence a ripple in the stillness. Each step you take is deliberate, a silent promise of confrontation. When you are close enough, your voice cuts through the quiet, a low, resonant note that makes him jump. My sister. The nervous analyst flinches, his head snapping up. He scrambles to his feet, knocking over the empty coffee cup beside him, its clatter unnaturally loud. He's younger than you expected, his suit ill-fitting, his tie askew. Fear coats his features like a thin film of ice. He takes a step back, his hand instinctively reaching for something unseen. You close the distance, blocking his retreat. Don't lie to me. The ledger. The off-book trades. The one she found. Your voice is steady, devoid of overt menace, but laced with an unyielding certainty that pins him in place. You watch his pupils dilate, the color draining from his already pale face. He swallows hard, his gaze darting around the expansive, empty room, as if searching for an escape route or a phantom protector. I just followed orders. Everyone did. The words spill out, a desperate admission. The air thickens, charged with the weight of unspoken truths. The stakes are rising, palpable in the cold air. He shakes his head, a frantic motion. The director, he said he was getting too close, asking too many questions about the reallocations. His voice drops to a near inaudible mumble on the last word, as if speaking it aloud would invoke a malevolent spirit. The director, his hand, which had been fumbling at his waistband, now holds a small, ugly blade, its edge catching the emergency light. It's a cheap, utilitarian thing, but sharp enough. His eyes are wild, a cornered animal's desperation. "Stay back!" he shouts, his voice cracking. He lunges, a clumsy, uncoordinated strike aimed at your midsection. Your reflexes, dulled by years of disuse, ignite with a primal urgency. You pivot, sidestepping the amateurish thrust, your hands snaking out to grab his wrists. The blade clatters to the floor, skittering across the gray carpet. He cries out, a mix of fear and frustration, struggling against your grip. You twist his arm, forcing him to his knees. His breath comes in ragged gasps. "Tell me everything," you demand, your face inches from his, your voice a steel wire. "Who else is involved? What was she looking for?" He whimpers, tears welling in his eyes. "I don't know. They just told me to keep an eye on her. She found something in the old accounts about the offshore shell corporations. They were moving money, a lot of money, through legitimate channels, but it was dirty." The director, not from the analyst, but from the entrance he used. The heavy metal door swings open, revealing two hulking figures silhouetted against the dim light of the service corridor. "Get out of here." Blake Ryder, one of the figures, growls, his voice deep and menacing. He steps into the light, revealing a face etched with a brutal efficiency. He holds a short, heavy-gauge shotgun, its barrel glinting ominously. You have no time to hesitate. The analyst, still whimpering at your feet, is no longer your primary concern. These are not low-level players. These are enforcers. The game has changed, escalated with a terrifying swiftness. You release the analyst, shoving him roughly away from you at distraction. As the enforcer raises his weapon, you dive behind a bank of dead screens. The cold metal, a momentary shield. Shards of glass from a shattered monitor rain down around you. Your escape is a blur of motion, a primal scramble through the labyrinth of silent terminals. The conspiracy is not just vast, it is violent, ruthless, and it knows your name. The stakes have just been irrevocably raised. The breath catches in your throat, a jagged shard of ice. The two figures, broad shoulders blocking the anemic glow, are not here for pleasantries. One steps forward, a shadow detaching from the deeper dark, his form a silent, advancing wall. The analyst, startled, drops the device he held, a clatter swallowed by the sudden dread. You don't hesitate. A swift, brutal shove sends the analyst sprawling, a useful, if unwilling, diversion. The first hulking figure, momentarily distracted by the collapsing form, falters. This is your window. Your left hand snatches the dropped device, a slim data stick, still blinking faintly, even as your right arm whips out, catching the advancing enforcer just beneath the chin. It's a practiced move, less about power, more about disruption. He stumbles, a grunt escaping his lips, buying you precious milliseconds. The second figure, quicker, lunges. Your shoulder connects with the door frame, a jarring impact, but you're through, scrambling into the service corridor. Footsteps, heavy and urgent, echo behind you. You sprint, each stride a desperate prayer, the stolen data stick clutched tight. They are close, their pursuit a palpable weight pressing down your spine. The night is a tapestry of muted grays and industrial hums. You weave through forgotten alleys, past overflowing dumpsters and the skeletal remains of abandoned vehicles. Your mind races, a frantic engine. The analyst's brief, panicked words. They're watching everything, the exchange, the dead screens. Replay like a broken record. The dead screens. It clicks into place, a piece of a larger, more sinister puzzle. It's where your sister spoke of meeting someone. A hushed, urgent conversation you'd overheard weeks before her death, dismissed then as mere office gossip. You know where you need to go. The place where fortunes were once made and lost. Now a monument to a forgotten era. The building looms, a glass and steel leviathan, its upper floors disappearing into the bruised sky. You bypass the main entrance, finding a service door propped ajar, a silent invitation to trespass. The air inside is still, thick with the ghosts of ambition and desperation. You navigate the labyrinthine corridors, guided by an intuition that hums with grim purpose, until you reach it. It's a mausoleum of ambition. The air is heavy, tasting of dust and stale coffee. You move between the empty desks, a solitary figure in a forgotten arena. Your gaze sweeps across the keyboards, the discarded coffee cups, the faint outlines of where monitors once glowed. This place, once vibrant with the cacophony of commerce, now feels like a tomb. Reaching a central cluster of desks, you pause. This is where he would have sat, her sharp mind navigating the volatile currents of the market. You recall her exasperated sighs, her triumphs, her quiet frustrations. A ghost of a memory, a wisp of her perfume, seems to linger in the stagnant air. You pull out the data stick, its small form a heavy weight in your palm. The analyst, for all his fear, had been working on something crucial. You locate a console, miraculously still powered, a relic in this digital graveyard. Inserting the stick, you watch as a cascade of encrypted files appears. The decryption process is agonizingly slow. Each percentage point a crawl-through trickle. The low hum of the console's fan is the only sound, a counterpoint to the racing thoughts in your head. What did she find? What was so dangerous? Finally, the files unlock. What spills forth onto the dim screen is not what you expected. Not a simple ledger. Not a single damning transaction. Instead, it's a web, intricate and venomous. Political donations. Large and untraceable, flowing from these phantom entities to the campaigns of several prominent council members and even a high-ranking official within the city's regulatory body. You scroll deeper. There are names, coded but decipherable with the context of public records you've memorized over years of investigations. Communications he had intercepted, questions he had quietly posed to colleagues, concerns he had raised about irregularities in a specific, high-stakes municipal bond offering. Her inquiries had touched a nerve, a raw, exposed nerve in the heart of this sprawling network. This isn't just about a few corrupt individuals. This is a system, an ecosystem of illicit power and wealth, deeply entrenched, its roots extending into every facet of the city's infrastructure. Your sister hadn't just stumbled upon a crime. He had threatened to unravel the very fabric of their carefully constructed reality. The sheer scale of it hits you, a physical blow. This conspiracy isn't just vast, it's practically the city itself, its veins clogged with this poisoned blood. It's too soft to be a threat, perhaps just a building mechanism, but it's enough to jolt you. You pull the data stick, the raw data still burning on the console screen, a beacon of truth in the sterile gloom. The connections are undeniable, and now you are the only one left holding that light, a single flickering flame against a gathering storm. The web deepens, its threads tightening around you, promising to consume everything. Your breath mists slightly in the cool, stale air, the only sound the soft whir of the server rack behind you, a mechanical heartbeat in this tomb of finance. What spills forth onto the dim screen is not what you expected, not a simple ledger, not a single damning transaction. Instead, it's a web, intricate and venomous. Political donations, lavish and untraceable, flow like dark rivers into the coffers of municipal figures. And then the Elara expands, revealing itself as large-scale asset stripping, a systematic cutting of public projects, siphoning funds into private accounts. Each click of your mouse illuminates another node in the sprawling conspiracy. You follow the breadcrumbs, the digital footprints of dirty money. A housing development earmark for renovation, funds diverted. A new public transport initiative, its budget mysteriously inflated, then deflated into the pockets of anonymous holding companies. A chime from the small, encrypted communication device on the desk startles you. It's the data analyst, the quiet one with spectacles and an aversion to sunlight, who helped you breach these digital walls. His message is terse, a string of coordinates and a single, urgent word, witness. He'd promised to keep digging from his end, cross-referencing the names you'd given him against public records, searching for any physical links to the digital phantom limbs you now trace. You type a quick query, your fingers flying across the keyboard, pulling up the coordinates. An abandoned factory district on the city's forgotten industrial fringe. Why there? Why witness? As you ponder, the screen flickers, not your main display, but a smaller window the analyst had set up, a live feed from a discrete camera he'd somehow managed to patch into. It's a grainy, night vision view of a derelict loading dock, rain slicking the cracked concrete. The image wavers, then steadies small and hunched, moves into view. It's an analyst. He's holding a tablet, his gaze fixed on it, oblivious to the wider frame. A sudden, sharp movement at the edge of the frame. Your breath catches. It moves with a predatory grace, too swift, too silent. Your fingers scramble for the keyboard, desperate to warn him, to send a message, anything. But it's too late. The analyst crumbles, a puppet whose strings have been abruptly cut. There's no struggle, no prolonged fight, just a swift, brutal efficiency. The feed continues, a macabre tableau of an empty, rain-swept scene. Your ally, the quiet one, the brilliant mind who saw patterns in the chaos, is gone. The names, the shell corporations, the political figures, they aren't just lines of code and figures anymore. This isn't just a conspiracy. It's a living, breathing hydra, and you've just watched one of its heads strike. Your hands clench into fists, knuckles white against the cool metal of the desk. They took your sister. Now they've taken the analyst. You can't! The image of the analyst, so still on the grainy concrete, is seared into your mind. His sacrifice will not be in vain. You are alone now, truly isolated in this fight, the last flicker of alliance extinguished, and in that profound solitude, a dangerous clarity settles over you, and you know, with absolute certainty, that there is no turning back. Your path is set, carved by betrayal and loss, leading deeper into the heart of their poison empire. What brought your sister here to this exact console, etched into the ghost memory of the building? Your fingers, calloused from years of gripping a Cerberus weapon, now dance with a delicate precision over the cold keyboard. The terminal, dormant for months, flickers to life under your touch, a single, emerald cursor blinking like a watchful eye in the gloom. The screen blossoms, not with trading algorithms, but with a simple, stark text file. Your sister's last words, perhaps, or her first true warning. The words bloom across the dead screen, a garden of calculated deceit. It's a ledger, not of stock trades, but of ghost assets, phantom companies woven into the very fabric of the market. Shell corporations, like a spider's web spun across continents, each thread a conduit for wealth siphoned from legitimate ventures. Your sister, Blake Ryder, he wasn't just working here, he was tracking them. The first entry is stark, a series of dates, amounts, and code names. Project Chimera. The sums are astronomical, flowing out like a silent river of stolen capital. Your sister, with her sharp mind and unwavering sense of justice, must have seen the pattern. The impossible gains that defied all market logic. You scroll, the rhythmic thump-thump of your own pulse echoing in your ears. Faster now. The next section details the mechanism. It's not just money laundering. It's a systematic destabilization. Large, legitimate companies are targeted, their stock prices artificially inflated, then crash through coordinated, high-volume trades using these ghost assets. The resulting panic allows the conspirators to buy up the devalued companies for pennies on the dollar, consolidating vast sectors of the economy under their clandestine control. And your sister, she saw it all. Her notes detail the progression, the slow, insidious spread of this financial cancer. He had compiled evidence, cross-referenced transactions, even identified key players by their internal code names. Then, a name appears, one that twists your gut into a knot of burning iron. Senator Thorne. Not just a player, but the architect. The man who championed the very financial deregulation that made this scheme possible. The same man who offered his condolences at your sister's funeral, his voice dripping with feigned sorrow. The vault will open soon. The vault. Not a physical vault, you realize, but a digital one, a repository of the ultimate truth, the unassailable proof he was going to expose them. Not for a petty theft, not for a personal vendetta, but because she threatened to dismantle an empire built on stolen futures. Her suicide was a theatrical curtain call, a desperate attempt to bury the truth with her. A soft click echoes from behind you. The whir of the server rack changes pitch, a subtle shift, barely perceptible. You freeze, every muscle taut, your breath caught in your throat. Had you tripped an alarm? It wasn't there a moment ago. The terminal screen begins to glitch, the text shimmering, then dissolving into lines of static. They are remote wiping the data. They know you are here. With a furious urgency, you slam a USB drive into the port, praying it's fast enough. The data streams, a green progress bar crawling agonizingly slow across the bottom of the screen. Every second stretches into an eternity. The static intensifies, threatening to swallow the remaining data. Your sister's meticulous work, her sacrifice hanging by a thread. You watch the progress bar, willing it forward, your eyes darting to the approaching figure, now closer. The faint outline of a broad shoulder, a heavy stride. Finally, the bar fills. Transfer complete. You rip the drive free, the screen dying instantly, plunging the terminal back into its lifeless state. The only light now comes from the distant city glow filtering through the high windows, painting the vast room in shades of bruised violet and gray. You grip the small USB drive, its plastic casing suddenly feeling like a fragile, precious gem. This isn't just data. It's a legacy, a burning ember of truth your sister protected with her life. And now, it's yours to wield. The game has changed. The hunters have become the hunted. The truth, a digital leviathan, rise within the screen's cold glow. You trace the lines of data, each bite a whisper of betrayal, a scream of a conspiracy so vast it chokes the city's breath. Each dead screen is a mirror to a world gone blind, a world complicit in its ignorance. The evidence you've unearthed, a meticulous ledger of illicit dealings, manipulated elections, and engineered tragedies, paints a picture far grander and more terrifying than you could have imagined. This isn't just about your sister anymore, it's about the very foundation of the city, corroded from within. To expose this, to tear down this edifice of lies, you cannot walk alone. The thought is a bitter draft, for isolation has been your chosen companion for years, a shield against the world that cast you out. But now, the shield feels fragile, insufficient against the leviathan you've awakened. You need allies, or do you? The question claws at you, a desperate, internal struggle. To involve anyone else is to paint a target on their back, to drag them into the maelstrom that is now your life. Your gaze drifts across the deserted trading floor, imagining the frantic energy that once filled it, the faces of those who believed they controlled the flow of wealth, blissfully unaware of the true architects pulling the strings. There are few left in the city you'd trust with your life, fewer still with the weight of this truth. A name surfaces, unbidden, from the depths of your memory. Not a colleague from the force, for that well is poisoned. Every former contact a potential liability, compromised or too entrenched in the system to see the rot. No, someone else. You pull out the burner phone, its plastic cool against your palm. Her number, surprisingly, is still there, a relic from a time when your worlds occasionally intertwined. Your thumb hovers, a moment of profound hesitation. This call could ignite a spark of hope, or it could condemn her. This is not a choice of self-preservation, but of justice. If you are to fall, you will not fall alone, nor will you fall unheard. You will ensure the truth sees the light, even if it means sacrificing everything. And for that, you need a voice beyond your own. You press the call button. 1 ring. 2, 3. Perhaps she's gone, vanished into the ether of the city. Or perhaps she's already been touched by the tendrils of the conspiracy you now fight. Then a click. A voice, low and gravelly, laced with the smoke of forgotten cigarettes, answers. It's been a long time, Blake Ryder. It's the journalist, not a colleague from the force, not an informant, but the tenacious, relentless truth seeker you once worked with on a particularly ugly case. Her voice, familiar yet distant, is a lifeline. This is the reveal/discovery, an unexpected ally, a conduit to the public, someone who operates outside the official channels but possesses the power to amplify the truth. I need your help, you say, your voice rough, stripped bare of pleasantries. I have something big, the biggest thing. A pause stretches, pregnant with unspoken questions, with the weight of shared history. Then, I figured you wouldn't call unless it was. Where are you? You give her a location, a neutral ground, an abandoned factory on the industrial fringe, a place where prying eyes are few and the echoes of the past are loud enough to drown out any surveillance. The event is subtle, almost imperceptible, a trick of the light, perhaps, that they are already watching. The tension ratchets tighter, a wire pulled taut. The clock is ticking. You retrieve the USB drive containing the digital vault's contents, its small form holding the key to their undoing. Your sister's sacrifice will not be in vain. You will ensure it. The game has truly begun. You step into the cavernous maw of the abandoned factory, the air thick with the metallic tang of rust and the faint, sweet decay of forgotten industry. The vast space swallows the sound of your boots, each step a hollow echo against the concrete floor, a drumbeat for the coming storm. Moonlight slices through grimy, high-set windows, painting skeletal shadows of dormant machinery across the scarred concrete. This is the neutral ground you offered, a stage for the final, desperate act. A sleek, obsidian sedan glides silently into the factory's gaping entrance, its headlights cutting twin swaths through the gloom, momentarily blinding. From its polished interior emerges the powerful figure, a silhouette of tailored menace, flanked by a silent enforcer whose bulk suggests a blunt instrument of control. The powerful figure's expensive suit seems an anachronism amidst the grime, a stark declaration of his world's distance from yours, yet here you stand, on common, crumbling ground. His gaze, sharp and unblinking, finds you across the expanse, a predator assessing its prey. Blake Ryder, his voice echoes, surprisingly calm, a silken thread of content. A ghost returned. We thought you'd learned your lesson about meddling. My sister taught me a new one. You retort, your voice steady despite the tremor of anticipation. That some suicides are just well-orchestrated murders. You let the words hang, a challenge in the still air. You thought you were so careful. The shell corporations, the manipulated witnesses, the convenient accidents that cleared the path for your grand scheme, the desperate ramblings of a disgraced detective. You have nothing. Oh, I have more than speculation. You counter, taking a deliberate step forward. I have the patterns, the financial trails that lead from your charitable foundations to offshore accounts, then back to the very projects my sister was investigating. I have the timelines of her instability conveniently coinciding with critical junctures in your acquisitions. I have the inconsistencies in the official report, the overlooked details that scream murder met suicide. You lay out the intellectual battle, detailing the connections you've painstakingly unearthed, the logic that links his empire to your sister's grave. The powerful figure's mask of composure cracks, a flash of irritation. The enforcer, a shadow of coiled muscle, shifts, his hand subtly moving towards his jacket. This changes nothing. You're alone, Blake, and you're out of time. Perhaps, you concede, a slight smile playing on your lips. But I'm not as alone as you think, and I brought a little souvenir. Before the enforcer can react, you pivot, a phantom in the moonlit gloom, retreating deeper into the factory's labyrinthine heart. You lead them away from the open floor, through a heavy, unmarked steel door, down a flight of grimy steps. You emerge into a vast, desolate expanse of a midnight trading floor with dead screens. This was once the nerve center, the digital pulse of their illicit dealings, now a tomb of information. This is where the real reckoning begins, you announce, your voice resonating in the cavernous space. You pull a small, encrypted data chip from your pocket, its surface gleaming faintly. This is what connects every piece of the puzzle, every manipulated stock, every laundered dollar, every threat, every life ruined, and the final piece of proof regarding my sister's death. The powerful figure stares at the chip, his composure finally shattering. You won't get a chance to use it. The enforcer, a brute force of desperation, charges again. This time, you stand your ground. You parry his first punch, the impact jarring your arm. But you use his momentum against him, twisting, pushing him into a stack of abandoned server racks. Metal clangs, sparks fly as the racks topple, creating a temporary barrier. You race to a central terminal, a single, grind-covered console standing sentinel amidst the dead screens. With swift, practiced movements, you insert the chip. A low hum vibrates through the floor. One by one, then in a cascade, the dead screens flicker to life, bathing the vast floor in a ghostly, green-blue glow. The enforcer, having disentangled himself from the wreckage, hesitates, caught between his master's rage and the undeniable evidence now illuminating the room. The truth, stark and undeniable, pulses on every screen, a silent scream of betrayal and murder. You have cast the light, and now there is nowhere left for them to hide. The enforcer, a hulking shadow, collapses amidst the wreckage of twisted metal and severed cables, a groan escaping his lips as the last sparks fade. Your breath hitches, a raw rasp in the cavernous silence that follows. The adrenaline still sings through your veins, a frantic symphony, but the immediate threat has dissolved into the dust-choked air. Your knuckles ache, a dull throb, a testament to the fight, but your gaze is already sweeping past the downed brute, searching for the true architect of this elaborate deception. A faint hum, almost imperceptible, draws you deeper into the complex. It's a low thrumming, like a forgotten heart beating beneath the concrete. You move with a predator's caution, each step deliberate, the weight of your sister's memory a silent companion. Their surfaces are like frozen puddles of ink, each one a tombstone for a billion-dollar dream. The air is heavy with the scent of ozone and stale ambition. And there at the central console, bathed in the sickly green glow of a single active terminal, sits the orchestrator. A flaw, some might say, or does the cycle merely reset? Your sister, she stumbled upon an inconvenient truth. A truth that, if exposed, would have brought down empires. Not just ours, but the very foundations of this city's power. He was trying to do what was right, you counter. The accusation chart. Righteousness is a luxury few can afford, Blake, especially when it threatens the delicate balance. Her suicide was a regrettable necessity, a ripple to prevent a tsunami. He gestures around the silent floor. This was the engine of a legacy, Blake, a network of influence and capital woven so tightly, its threads touch every aspect of governance, every seat of power. Your sister, with her naive integrity, began tugging at a crucial thread. You clench your fists, the pain in your knuckles a welcome anger. You had her killed. You covered it up. You tried to make me disappear. We tried to contain the damage. You, like your sister, proved the true depth of it, the untouchable nature of the system. Even if you expose me, the machine continues. It always does. His words, meant to deflate, only steal your resolve. You know he speaks a partial truth, but exposing him is the first crack in the facade. The machine may continue, but it will be wounded, and people will know what you did. A flicker of something regret, perhaps, or merely annoyance crosses his face. You were always a romantic, Blake. You hadn't called them. Someone else must have. Perhaps the enforcer, in his dazed state, or a peripheral player in the conspiracy whose nerve finally broke. The architect hews it too. His eyes narrow, losing their detached amusement. He makes a sudden, desperate lunge, not for you, but for the active terminal, his fingers flying across the keys. He's trying to erase something, to sever a critical link. You react instinctively, lunging forward, not allowing him to escape the consequences of his actions. Your tackle is a desperate, jarring impact. You wrestle him away from the console. The struggle brief, but fierce, fueled by months of grief and a burning need for justice. He fights with surprising strength, a cornered animal, but your resolve is unbreakable. You pin him, his face contorted in a snarl of defeat and impotent rage. Footsteps pound down the corridor, growing louder, more urgent. Then the beam of a tactical flashlight cuts through the gloom, followed by the heavy tread of boots. Awake, Ryder? The voice of the detective cuts through the tension. Stand down. It's over. You slowly release the architect, rolling off him, your chest heaving. The detective and his team pour into the trading floor, their weapons trained. They assess the scene. The downed enforcer, the silent architect, The evidence flickering on the screen he failed to wipe. The weight of it all, the sheer, undeniable proof, hangs heavy in the air. Weeks later, the city still hums with the aftershocks. The architect's empire crumbled, its intricate network exposed. Not entirely, perhaps, but enough to send tremors through the highest echelons. You stand by your sister's grave, the autumn wind rustling the dry leaves around your feet. The stone is clean, etched with him name, Blake Ryder. You brought the truth to light. You avenged her. The cost was immense. A piece of your old life irrevocably shattered, your solitude deepened in some ways, yet paradoxically, filled with a new, fragile purpose. The disgraced detective is no more. In his place, a man stands, scarred but not broken, having walked through fire and emerged not whole, but truer. The weight of her absence is still a constant companion, a ghost at the edge of your vision. But now, it's a memory honored, not a question mark. The city outside continues its relentless churn, at beast forever hungry. But for you, in this quiet moment, a semblance of peace settles, a bittersweet balm on a long festering wound. The fight is over, for now. The future, an unwritten page, stretches before you, uncertain but open.